Hi guys, I'm a graduate researcher studying microbiology. I've worked with both viruses and bacteria, and I'm here today to talk to you guys about the coronavirus, or COVID-19, to answer any questions you might have, as well as inform you on ways to best protect yourself and your family from the virus. Alright, and with that, let's get right into it. So, if I'm ever not looking at the camera, it's because I do have a little script. I just want to make sure that I don't miss anything that's important. So, I apologize if it seems like my eyes are all over the place. But I just want to make sure that I cover everything in this video that I've set out to cover, and to really inform you guys. Alright, so the first question is, what are the symptoms of coronavirus? And the top 3 symptoms that most patients exhibit is fever, dry cough, and lethargy, or feeling tired. And basically these symptoms are very broad. There are obviously other symptoms that you can have. It depends patient to patient. However, those are the top 3 most common. And if you are feeling sick, please follow whatever protocol your government has in place. Some would like you to go to the hospital right away, some would like you to call before going to a walk-in, etc. So please follow that protocol. Look it up on your local government websites and see what they advise, and please follow that. Next question is, what are the high-risk groups? And essentially, anyone that's immunocompromised is at high risk. So this includes the elderly who might have weakened immune systems, anyone who has an autoimmune disease that might be attacking their immune system, anyone who's undergoing chemotherapy, and babies who are too young to have developed an immune system. However, speaking of babies, children actually seem to be less affected by the virus, and we're not really sure why this is, and they are still able to spread it, so it's still important to practice self-isolation. So the next question is how to prevent it. And the best way to prevent it is to avoid contact with others, aka self-isolation. And this is because the virus is spread through coughing, sneezing, fomites, which are particles of the virus that survive on surfaces, etc. So it's best to self-isolate. Many countries already have self-quarantines in effect, and it's best to follow those. The next best thing is to wash your hands after you've been out in public. Sometimes we can't avoid going out in public, like we need to go to the grocery store, etc. Just make sure you wash your hands when you come back to try and rid the virus from your hands due to any surfaces you might have touched that the virus could be on. And use a hand sanitizer, alcohol-based, when you cannot wash your hands. If you have to go to the grocery store, for example, and you're going to be touching a lot of surfaces, cans on the shelf, cart, etc., cash, make sure that you do not touch your face until you get home and wash your hands first thing. Now the next question, piggybacking onto that, is how long does the virus last on surfaces? And this is really difficult to answer because it really depends on things like what the surface is, humidity, etc. But the general consensus is that it can last from a few hours to days, depending on these factors. So essentially, if you're second guessing something, maybe you should sanitize the surface. Speaking of sanitizing the surface, the next question is, what are some effective cleaners? So I'm just going to go through a list of cleaners. Bleach, however, requires a 10-minute contact time. So if you're going to be using bleach, spray your bleach mixture down, wait 10 minutes, set a timer, and come back and wipe it after, because it does need the 10-minute contact time to be effective. Hydrogen peroxide is another effective cleaner, as well as 70% ethanol. However, speaking of ethanol, I just want to mention that there are some articles saying that you can sanitize with vodka, but that is not recommended because vodka is only 40% alcohol per volume, and you need a minimum of 70% alcohol per volume for cleaning. So if you want to use ethanol for cleaning or for making hand sanitizer, which I'll discuss in a bit, then you can use 99% rubbing alcohol, 99% isopropyl alcohol. That will work. Ammonia is also an effective cleaner against the virus. So is soap, obviously. Washing your hands. The suds from the soap will help break down the virus and trap the particles so they can be washed away. If you're looking for a green cleaner, unfortunately vinegar does not work, so keep that in mind. Vinegar has not been proven to effectively break down the envelope of the virus. Getting back to the hand sanitizers I was mentioning, if you're going to purchase and use a hand sanitizer, it needs to be alcohol-based. There are different kinds of hand sanitizers, and not all of them are alcohol-based. Some alcohol-free hand sanitizers use benzalkonium chloride, and not enough is known about the effectiveness of that on viruses such as the coronavirus. So you really want to make sure you're using an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. You can make your own hand sanitizer using 60 to 70% ethanol, and the rest aloe vera. So for example, 70% ethanol, 30% aloe vera, you just mix those together and you can get a hand sanitizer. The next question that was asked is, what are some differences between the coronavirus and influenza? So first off, they're two different viruses. I'm going to start with the coronavirus, which is an enveloped, positive sense, single-strand RNA virus, which is with an average incubation of 5 days. So this means it takes about 5 days for symptoms to show, and you can be infectious that whole time, which is part of the reason why corona spreads so quickly, because people don't realize they're sick, aka they are carriers. It has a 4% global mortality rate, and COVID-19 is genetically 96% similar to bat coronaviruses. So their theory is that it originated in bats. However, they have also found pangolins to be carrying COVID-19, and perhaps pangolins spread it. Pangolins are used in some traditional Chinese medicines and may have been present and for sale at that Wuhan meat market. However, it is unclear, and this is just theories at this point. Influenza, on the other hand, is a negative single-stranded RNA virus with an average incubation of 2 days. So it takes about 2 days for you to notice that you are infected and for symptoms to develop. It has a 1% global mortality rate and has a vaccine against it, the flu shot, which contains an inactivated virus. Both are upper respiratory viruses. However, coronavirus has more critical infections, meaning infections that have required ventilators. And while we're on this discussion of influenza versus coronavirus, I just want to sneak in a little discussion about the flu shot. And basically, if you are concerned about spreading coronavirus to immunocompromised individuals, please show the same concern with the influenza virus, as it can also be deadly to those groups. And there's a flu shot against it. Please get your flu shot. Please protect yourself as well as immunocompromised individuals if you can. Flu shot contains inactivated virus. It cannot make you sick. Sometimes you might show symptoms after getting the flu shot or flu-like symptoms, and that's because the goal of a vaccine is to cause an immune response. So it is your immune response creating these symptoms, and they shouldn't last more than like 48 hours. If they do, you might actually be having a reaction to vaccines in general or something else that's in the vaccine, and should speak with your doctor. Alright, so the next question is, where will peak infection go? And I've read quite a bit of epidemiological studies on this, and it's very difficult to predict because there are a lot of factors such as limited access to tests, limited access to healthcare, overwhelmed healthcare that might not be able to take on all the patients that need it. Will individuals feel sick enough to self-isolate? Will travel bans, will quarantines be put into effect in time? All of these variables play a role. However, a Nature article believes that the peak will be between March to May, but their model excluded travel bans and quarantines due to the timelines of those affecting the efficacy of the study. So essentially, they modeled theirs pretending that travel bans and quarantines did not occur, just in case a country enacted them too late. So they wanted to look at the worst case scenario. Vaccine development is another thing to consider. So I just want to give you guys an update on where vaccine development is at. Last week, a group of Canadian scientists successfully grew the virus in a lab, which is one of the first steps. And this week, vaccine trials in humans have begun in the US, and they're skipping over animal trials. So typically in vaccine development, they find an antigen that they can use in the vaccine. They then test it in animals, they test it in non-human primates, and then they test it in humans. However, they are fast-tracking this in order to get the vaccine out as soon as possible, so they're going right to human trials. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video helped clear some questions you might have. If you have any more, please leave them in the comments below. Please remember to like and subscribe if this video was helpful. Share it with your friends if you'd like to share the knowledge. And please remember to follow the recommendations of your government, whether that be self-quarantining, self-isolating, etc., travel bans. All of these things are put in effect to try and stop the spread of this virus, and please respect that and follow them as best you can. Hey guys, I just wanted to add really quick at the end a big thank you to any doctor, nurse, delivery person, shipping person, grocery store worker, researcher who's still working during these times of quarantine and self-isolation. Just a huge thank you and appreciation for you.